Akanisha was trapped in time. Neither conscious nor awake, she existed in between, suspended in a place that was not here, not there. She drifted in the void of her own thoughts, caught between past and present, unable to tell which one was real. The flood of knowledge surged through her, but time had no shape here. It was a maelstrom, twisting and turning, each moment colliding into the next. Her dreadlocks, once passive strands of hair, were living serpents, striking down enemies with godly precision. She had done this before. Again, and again, and again. The scene shifted. She saw temples built in her honor, then burned by those who had once worshipped her. Their faces twisted in fear, in betrayal. Fire consumed her statues, her sacred places, but she did not stop them, let it happen, because she had already decided. Not to fall, but to feel. For she loved to feel. She had let go of divinity, to descend into the mortal world, so she could forget who she was. For the spilled blood of evil souls tormented her, though she had spilled it because they were evil. Yet blood was blood. Whether it was divine or mortal, it was still blood. She wanted to become mortal, to taste all the pleasures of mortal life. But betrayal had been sown. The vision shifted again, and she saw herself not as a goddess, but as an entity walking among men, eating their food, loving their kind, suffering their pain. She was living as a healer, a queen, a wanderer, a warrior, and sometimes as a shadow. Each life had been a memory or a future. She could not tell which was which, she could not remember what was what, for with each life there was a choice of death or ascension, a choice of a fall or resurrection. But one figure remained, one shadow never left her side. The King Viper. He was not just a guardian, not just a protector, he was something more, something deeper. And in this timeless space, in the swirling storm of memories, she remembered, his name Velmorath Sakul. She had spoken it before, 1,000 times, in battle and in victory. His name had been whispered through ages of blood and fire. He was not just a warrior beside her, not just a king bound by duty. He was her guardian, her weapon, her shadow. And now, her burden. Akanisha staggered, reaching for something solid. But there was nothing. Only the memories. They came too fast. Too many. She could not hold them all. Her mind began to fracture. The strain of thousands of years of existence cracked through her body like an earthquake. Her pulse throbbed like a distant war drum, deep and unrelenting. She clutched her head, gasping, as the visions continued to assault her mind. She saw the King Viper dying, weakened by the sapphire. She saw herself commanding him, trusting him with something she dared not wield. She saw his dedication, his commitment. She saw the flickers of fear in his eyes. Or was it in hers? Had she abandoned him? The answers were there, just out of reach. And then, a voice pierced through the storm. "Wake up, child." It was firm but gentle, a tether to reality, pulling her back from the abyss. The storm around her shattered the memories, scattering into the void. The weight of time collapsed in on itself. The rushing wind stilled. The burning sky dimmed. The battlefield disappeared. She was no longer falling. Akanisha gasped. Her eyes snapped open. The world rushed back. The scent of earth, the whisper of trees, the presence of something watching. Her chest heaved. She was back. But she was not the same. Not anymore. Her body ached, not from the battle she had just witnessed, but from something deeper, something old, something waking up inside her. She felt the weight of her own existence pressing against her ribs, wrapping around her throat. She was not just Akanisha. She was something more, something that had been forgotten. It was 3 days. Akanisha had been gone for 3 days. 3 days lost in time. 3 days in the realm of memories. 3 days for her evolution. The Etherion Code was at work now. She was awake now. Her body felt heavy, yet her mind was weightless, filled with something new, no, something old. The sanctuary was silent, the air still thick with power. The world felt different. Or maybe she was different. The White Witch sat beside her, watching patiently these 3 days, whispering incantations for soft passage through this rite. She had been there the entire time, waiting, unmoving. Her silver eyes held no urgency, no fear, only the understanding of what had taken place. She had known this would happen, though she had not expected it this soon. Akanisha's fingers twitched against the earth, the rough texture of the ground strangely familiar. It felt like she had never touched it before, yet also like she had held it for 1,000 years. She tried to sit up, but her muscles protested, weak from days of stillness. But her mind felt stronger. Something had changed. She could see differently now, not just with her eyes, but with something beyond sight. Shapes, patterns, movements of energy. They wove through everything. What the world called algebra, geometry, topology, combinatorics, to her they were not numbers. They were conduits. Mortal mathematical problems, the Hodge conjecture, the Birch and Swinnerton-Dyer conjecture, the Navier-Stokes existence and smoothness, the P versus NP problem, the Riemann hypothesis, the Yangel's existence and mass gap, the Poincaré conjecture. These were not unknown to her anymore. They were open to her now. And she knew how to bend reality with their answers. She could see their threads connecting all things. She could understand the whispers of the wind. She knew the stars, not as distant, untouchable flames, but as coordinates, as gateways. She understood time, the way it folded, the way it could be touched, manipulated, woven. She had been given something back, not her full strength, not her full power, but wisdom, knowledge. She could see the framework of the world itself, and it obeyed her. She knew names now, names that had been stolen, buried, erased, the names of gods and kings who had walked before the world had taken its first breath, names of rulers who never ruled, of deities who had been silenced. She whispered them under her breath, feeling the weight of them, the power they carried. They had not been meant to be spoken again, but she remembered them now, and they would never be forgotten again. She turned her head slowly, her eyes sharp, focused. A small bird sat perched nearby, its feathers shimmering under the filtered light. It tilted its head, watching her, waiting. And then it spoke, not in words, not in sound, but she understood. She could instinctively understand animals before, but now she could speak to them. Not just understand their meaning, but connect to them deeply, to their instincts, to their truths. She blinked, inhaling sharply as the realization crashed into her mind. She could speak most languages. No, not most. All languages. Because she had spoken them before. She had seen herself speak them, had felt the words roll off her tongue in lifetimes past. She could not unlearn it now. The knowledge had been hers, and it was hers again. She sat up suddenly, gasping, the flood of language, symbols, and meaning rushing into her like a broken dam. It was overwhelming. It was unstoppable. She clutched her head, squeezing her eyes shut as the ancient languages of forgotten civilizations whispered through her mind. What was she becoming? She looked down. The ground beneath her was etched with symbols, intricate and endless. They stretched across the earth in spirals, in delicate loops, in sharp angles. She had never seen them before, and yet she could read them. She knew what they meant. She understood. She had been blind to them before, but now they were as clear as the sky. Akanisha ran her fingers along the carvings, tracing their meanings, their power. She was reading the language of existence itself. The White Witch did not speak. She did not interrupt. She simply watched. Watched as Akanisha's hands trembled with the weight of awareness. Watched as her mind realigned itself, reshaping, rebuilding. Watched as she became something more. Akanisha turned to her, eyes filled with 1,000 unspoken truths. The White Witch nodded, a silent confirmation. Akanisha was not just remembering. The awakening was now a chain reaction. Time passed slowly as Akanisha's mind wandered through time and space, troubled by the thought of Velmorath Sakuthul. She was sleepless. She felt remorse, pain, pity, and betrayal, all mashed together, presenting as worry, and so Akanisha decided to return to the ruins. This time, fearless, this time without awe. She marched forward, her steps steady, unwavering, until she reached the temple. The place. The temple where he had emerged from. But now, she understood. This ruin, this temple, was not just a relic of the past. It was a gateway, a doorway between realms, a piece of something far greater than the world around it. She had not simply walked into a ruined structure that day, she had awakened it. Her presence had shifted something in the fabric of reality. Her aura had called out, and something had answered. She stepped carefully among the fallen stones, the inscriptions along the remaining pillars glowing faintly beneath her touch. The moment her fingertips grazed the ancient script, the truth pulsed through her. She had been here before, not as Akanisha, not in this lifetime, but as something else, something forgotten. She had stood in this very place, long before the temple had become a ruin. Long before time had buried it beneath layers of silence. Velmorath Sekuthul had sensed her return. It had felt her aura, her awakening, and it had come forth, emerging from the depths of the portal to return what had once been hers, the Sapphire of Death. But now, it was gone. It had vanished into the ruins, retreating into the shadows beyond the portal. It had returned to its ancient home, wherever that might be. The gateway had been opened once, but it had since sealed itself again, waiting. Akanisha placed a hand on one of the broken pillars. The stone was cold, yet alive beneath her touch. It pulsed, a slow, rhythmic heartbeat. The temple still remembered her, still recognized her. It was waiting. She exhaled softly, closing her eyes. She could feel the lingering energy of the portal, the place where worlds overlapped. It was not fully closed. Not yet. It was simply sleeping. She let her fingers trace the inscriptions, their meaning flowing through her mind effortlessly. A prayer, a warning, a promise. She whispered softly, though she knew he would not respond. "I will call you when it is time." Her voice carried, not in the way of sound, but in the way of energy. Her words moved through the ruins, winding through the air, sinking into the unseen places where time did not move. And for a moment, just a fleeting moment, she thought she heard a hiss in the wind. A whisper from the other side. Then silence. The ruins were empty again. It was gone, but it was only waiting. It had fulfilled its duty for now. And when the time came, when the portal would open once more, it would return, as it always had, as it always would.